ready to do life and business on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. You either make excuses or you choose to level up. What amazing guests living the big ticket life. Woo! Woo! Brandon Britton.
Appreciate you having me here today, man.
It's that kind of discernment, that kind of focus, that kind of forward thinking that's so important if you're going to succeed in business today.
Jeff and I are like friends. We're real friends.
We are like so you unlock fortune and freedom without all the stress that normally comes along with it.
It all comes down to your why. You know, your business, why are you doing it? You know, how is it going to change the world and what's it going to do for your family?
I want you to celebrate your success.
Talk about the struggle, but I promise you, the story is in your struggle.
They'll never be able to say that about me because people only see me working hard in anything that I'm doing whenever they see me.
Focused on your success and the success of those around you.
But being that constant in your community, good or bad, whether things are great in the community, bad in the community, who's steady?
Unapologetically do business and life on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. What amazing guests living the big ticket life. And we discuss how they do it and the big ticket methods they use. The things that make your life successful so you do life and business on your terms.
In and of itself, the only limitations that we really have on ourselves is the ones that we allow to be put on ourselves. And most people don't look at it in that perspective.
There's nothing wrong with being humble, but there's also nothing wrong with stepping into your superpower and letting people know who you are.
Get ready to do life and business on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. All right. Welcome back to another great show of The Big Ticket Life. We do this video podcast live streamed every week, Tuesdays at noon. And so if you like to take it in live, be sure to subscribe, follow, click the button on whatever channel that you enjoy the show best, Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. And if you're an audio person, like to take this in on audio, that's okay. You miss out seeing all this handsomeness here and our wonderful guests, but that's all right. Audio is good too. We're on all the major platforms. Be sure to subscribe and follow the show there as well. And if you could leave a review, if you love what we're doing here, I would welcome a review. So with all the business out of the way, Megan Lanahan, welcome to The Big Ticket Life today.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, so we got to meet back in December at Miranda Jiggins' Total Boss event, where I got the pleasure to speak. And I felt the connection to you, and we got connected after the event, and then on social media. And I put out the invite to have people be on the show, and you raised your hand, and here we are. And happy to have you here. You've got an interesting story. You presently work in the legal field of corporate law. You're a research consultant and trainer. And we're not necessarily here to talk about legal stuff, because I'll just preface it first. We're not going to dispense any legal advice here. And if you find yourself in legal trouble, you should consult and contact a lawyer in your jurisdiction. Did I cover the bases there, Megan?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So I said them for me, and you can say what you want to say. But if we get into anything law, none of it's about law. It's about life experience. And you should always consult a professional for your specific situation. But speaking of situations, Megan shared at that same event something that really kind of perked my ears up and thought, this would be good to bring Megan on the show. And it was about a business that she was part of, and then, had to leave. And I think so much we get wrapped up in these definitions, and our business and our life defines us, and things happen. And we sometimes just have to move on. We have to leave it. We have to divorce it. We have to turn it off. But it doesn't mean we got to let that be the end of us. There's always something on the other side. So Megan, with that set up, I'll kind of have you just talk about what brought us here, that story, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, as I mentioned at the conference, I was part of a business for 14 years that is in the multi-level marketing industry. And for a while, it was going great. And then there were some things that I discovered as I didn't know it was coming to an end, but that were basically ushering me into what was next. So obviously, anything that's, anytime anything's ending, it can be a little bit painful. And you can just kind of question yourself, which, is kind of another story. But you can get to a point where you're just like, okay, what's next? And so I'm really grateful for, that whole story and what it's led me to. And I was talking about this story and in a very raw form. And I had Jeff, you had said some things beforehand that really stuck out to me, such as like healing from your traumas and different things. And I was like, this is just, I was healing as I was listening to you speak about that.
Yeah.
And so the whole experience really was helping me. But I think I got away from your question. I apologize. But yeah, the whole experience was helping me to be able to heal from it, because little did I know I was carrying some trauma from that whole experience. And I had gotten started in that business when I was 20. I was like literally on the precipice of turning 21, thinking, okay, I know everything, and I have some things that I want to share with the world, and I want to show, everybody that I'm here. And so the whole experience, though, through that 14 years really helped me to be able to grow and understand what standards I want to have for myself. And then, here as we are, and, as I am outside of that business, knowing that I have some standards, I feel like I've hit the ground running, and, it's only going faster.
Yeah, very good. So a couple questions, and we're not going to say the names of the business and the names of the people involved, because we're just not going to go down that road. You don't have to, it doesn't really much matter. What matters is Megan's story and the journey that we're going to share with you today. And so you started at 20, almost 21. You said 14 years, so that means you're 29. That's the way my wife likes to express her age.
I agree.
Yeah. So, but you had a long time there. Did you arrive to where that was your only, like that was the source of income? That's how you supported yourself, lived your life just from that income?
No.
Okay. So this was something on the side that you ran. Okay. And you always had your legal career along the way.
I actually made a career change. At first I was in journalism, but then I got into the legal field. But yeah.
What made you start in journalism?
I've always loved writing, so it's still my passion to this day. But I actually was contacted by a recruiter who was working with a local media company, and so I started working for the #1 station in this area. And so I was not necessarily writing stories, but I was working on the breaking news desk, and because I'm always really good with anything that requires just a lot of speed really quick, and then you can go and think about it, kind of like an adrenaline rush. And so I was working on the breaking news desk and getting news out to the audience really quickly, and then editing stories as I saw that there were issues, but kind of a jack of all trades within that particular realm.
Got it. And so you like telling stories, and now you help attorneys in the corporate law space as a research consultant and trainer. So what was that shift like? Because we'll get back to the story and the journey of your side business in the MLM space. But what made you shift gears into law?
So I'm a paralegal by trade. I'm not an attorney. So hopefully nobody tries to, contact me about that. But so I had actually not yet finished college when I got into journalism. And I was at the point, I think I was like 26 or so. I was like, okay, I need to finish college. I just want to get something done here. So I was weighing my options, and paralegal seemed to be the best fit. Little did I know I'd love it. And so I finished my paralegal degree. And during that time, an opening at an office in my area became available. And I took that, and that really introduced me into the world of actually being a paralegal. And so it was just kind of like me deciding I need to finish college, and then this seems like the best fit. And then boom, there you go. So I think it was more of a divine thing too, because I have a lot of interests, and part of the struggle for me is actually narrowing things down to, having a focused interest, if that makes sense.
Yep, it does. 100%.
Yeah.
You touched on a couple things there, sharing your shift into the legal career. So we'll get back to why you thought it was divine, and we'll talk about faith and belief in a minute, because really there's a backstory to that of me even being at the event where we met each other through that theme. But listeners of the show know that I'm very passionate about making sure that high school students kind of have a clear focus and a clear direction of what happens after high school. For some, college is fantastic. For others, it means getting into skills, careers, trade schools. Others, it means just entering the workforce. Maybe it's military service. So it sounds like you were kind of flailing and trying to find your way in college. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you feel was missed in giving you the tools to figure that out in those high school years?
Really the thing that would be missing was just me not focusing. So, I remember in high school, I had actually wanted to be a music engineer. And so when I first went to college, I told the guidance counselor that, and then they put me in an electronic engineering major. I didn't really like it, although I learned to solder and that's useful, but
Right.
I didn't like electronic engineering the way that I wanted to. And I've always been led by the heart. That's the kind of leader that I am. Even if it's just leading myself, I lead by the heart. And so I was like, this isn't really quite the right thing.
Yeah.
And
Can I just pause you here? So what was the connection between music and you said electrical engineering?
right. They said that was the most, that was like the closest thing that they had to music engineering.
Okay.
And at the
Wow.
school that I wanted to go to. And the school I wanted to go to was a local school that was good for commuters. And
Okay. Yep.
excellent school, but they didn't have what I wanted. And so I was still, I used to doubt myself pretty badly. And so I used to just go around thinking that, okay, if it's not right here, maybe I'm not meant to find it yet, kind of thing. I didn't know how to go and demand what I want from life. And I've definitely learned that. But at the same time, I understand that there's a little bit of a balance there. So you can demand all you want, but if it's not yet for you, it's not going to be there. So there's in my opinion, a balance between I'm going to go demand something and accessibility. Although it doesn't have to be completely accessible. I believe you have to work to find those things. But
Yeah.
I wasn't able to actually find that yet. And it wasn't even remotely accessible to me yet. So in my opinion, I could be just kind of, hearts and flowers here, but in my opinion, maybe it just wasn't meant to be found by me yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you found some of that music and that musical dream along the way. You have on your Instagram page, you have, what is it? Wednesday. I'm going to butcher it. What day is it with lyrics?
Song Lyric Saturday.
Song Lyric Saturday. There it is. So still something in the heart that you have there that you still practice and use.
Yeah.
You talked about demanding something out of life. I think when people hear that, they're like, wow, that's pretty hardcore. That's pretty tough. Demand. But I'm really proud and I'm excited for people when they say that's what they want in their life. And so I'll give a couple examples of how I look at it. And then I want you to share the things that you demand for your life. So for me, it's about, people should demand that they get respect.
Yeah.
Right. They have to give it. I say that demand that respect comes back, but you give it, you be a respectful person. You should be in places where you're celebrated and just not tolerated. And I really look at those like that line, that demand and belief is that it frames where I do business, who I do business with, who I give my money to, in the various coaching groups and masterminds and mentorship programs that I attach to. Like, are they really celebrating my journey, the evolutions of the journey that I'm on? Or is it just, hey, Jeff's credit card clears and he's cool to be a member. We're going to pat him on the back, but the buck stops there, right? Like, so
Right.
I think we should all demand that we are celebrated and not just tolerated. I think those are two big things. The respect thing and that being celebrated thing are things that all of us could demand is for ourselves. And likewise, you got to celebrate people, you have to respect people. So I think those two run hand in hand. For you, what were the things that you wanted out of your life that you were just non-negotiable on?
I hadn't yet made the decision about wanting to be respected, but the non-negotiable was that I would be able to follow my heart and follow my dreams. That's always been a non-negotiable for me. Also to make a difference. And I love to be able to inspire other people. And I've always loved that. I've always loved to be able to help people and make their day better. But that was really the biggest thing for me, being able to follow my dreams and making a difference for other people. And then the rest was up to, be determined, really.
Yeah. Yep. So is that kind of where you enjoy the paralegal and law profession, because you're in that assistant role of helping, aggregating, finding, answers to problems that come up?
Yeah, exactly. And I work with a bunch of companies. And so I'll have, any number of people in a day asking me for help with whatever, help to find this or that. And, I've been able to work on those skills to be able to actually do research effectively and efficiently, and been a real good help to people. And it's really fulfilling. And because where I came from, I was basically, it was a thing of, your career is not going to be satisfying, you don't do that, blah blah blah. So it's really nice to be able to have something that I know I'm helping people and I really enjoy, and I work with wonderful people. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah. You said about where I come from, careers aren't meant to be enjoyed. Not exactly that way, but you could agree with that was your environment of upbringing.
Not in my childhood, but in the former business.
Yeah.
Business
Okay.
I was in.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Still, I think an accurate statement for any point in life. And so, yeah, I think that's where, and maybe we'll talk about this for a little bit. I see, so as someone who follows their heart and their dreams, it used to be you could get a job, which is what a lot of folks did, like our grandparents, as an example. Some parents, but more our grandparents and back. You got a job, and the structures and the setup of everything was that, you didn't necessarily love that job, but it provided for your family. You got those couple vacations a year. But after about 20, 30 years, you were done. And then you could enjoy life.
Right.
And now we all know life's a little different. And I think we see these factions, which I guess kind of goes to the respect conversation and the be celebrated, not tolerated conversation. We have these factions of, well, you have to be in a career and you have to build that career over decades and decades. And then you've got other folks that are like, no, I'm going to try this for a few years. I'm going to try that for a few years, even if it's moving from company to company, city to city, town to town. And in a way, it is that person chasing their dreams, following their heart, doing what they want to do. So that environmental thing was given to you from the MLM side of things. That's interesting. So It was this message of sitting in a cubicle sucks. Come do our thing.
Yeah.
That was the opportunity and the promise.
Yeah, exactly. And, little did I know it was actually set up to actually take you from what you were supposed to do, isolate you from all of your possibilities so that then you would just rely on that. And I have some very strong opinions about that, but it's it's meant to take you away from everything that you're supposed to do, because even if you have passion projects, like you can imagine I do, and I can't
Mhm.
not do them. Anytime I would talk about them, I would get ridiculed. Like, oh, you can do that
Hmm.
when you're quote unquote free, basically meaning you've gotten rid of your job and you're just relying on that MLM's, paycheck.
Right.
And I would just get this like feeling inside, like I cannot keep waiting like this. So it kept bubbling up. I was boiling over, and it we're not meant to suppress our passions.
Right. Right. And I'll share, your experience was your experience, and I'm not in any way trying to tread on it with what I'll share next. But I think what ends up happening, I see this in the online guru space. I see this in the digital marketing space. I see it in the advertising space, the network marketing space. It's like we sell you on this little piece of the puzzle,
Mhm.
the big dream, the big promise of freedom, the big promise of money, but we never talk about the hard work it's going to take. Unplugging somebody from the grocery store to get soap and shampoo and, snacks and clothing and all the things that you can get elsewhere and go buy it from this one company. Or, there's been network marketing companies around electricity. We actually had somebody call on the store, and I felt bad because I didn't respond in the right way to the statement that was shared with me, but it was, well, our company owns the power plants.
Hmm.
It's like, well, what's the name of your company? Because if you own the power plants, I should recognize it. Pico, right, as the prominent one around us. And then it was like, oh, the robot mind like malfunction. I don't have that answer. It wasn't in my book, right?
Right.
And I just responded like, hey, I'm sorry that you've been lied to, but I'm not going to switch electric providers. And it was obvious this was a network marketing thing. That said, I know of people, I've met them personally, that have done very well. And they're the very first ones to tell you, if you want to be like me, here's what my life's looked like. Yes, I did put on hold doing this thing,
Right.
chasing this dream for the moment, but it was because I was excited about this work. It just seems like you maybe weren't all that excited about that work, but more about the promise. Is that fair?
Somewhat. I have no
Yeah.
problem doing the work, and I'm very dedicated, and I'm not I'm more mature now. I don't have to be entertained. So I can, just do the work and get it done, which is a really great feeling. But somewhere along the line, I think if I'm confused about what good it's actually doing, and like in this particular instance, doing the work and not getting the results, like what's wrong? What's the problem? Nothing was sticking.
Mm.
And so I think then when I start to see cracks in the ice like that, that's when my brain says, this isn't working. Like I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in talking about, putting passions, like putting things on hold, I absolutely did that. And, no problem. I've put things on hold in order to get projects done, even outside of that. But there comes a point, when that confusion sets in and, you're not getting the results that you were told you would get. And you're like, okay, I've got this passion brewing over here. I can't keep holding that
Mhm.
back. There's a point where it just all crashes.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
what I was facing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure along the way it was, did you have any of the, well, if you invest in this conference or in this course to help with that obstacle, you'll get past it?
There was a lot of that. Yeah. So there
Yeah.
was a lot of talk of, oh, well, this will put you far ahead. Just come to this conference or just buy this book, listen to this audio, and you'll get the answers you need. Not much was ever really helpful. It was just repetitive.
Yeah. Which the secret of network marketing, the inside bowl of network marketing and multi-level marketing is that is the business.
Mm-hmm.
The core business is selling books and tapes and programs and conferences and mentorship.
Right.
And again, all of that stuff is good. I've got a whole library of it downstairs of books and courses, and I've got receipts of mentorship and all that other good stuff. It all only matters, and it's all only worthy of an investment if it's supporting where you want to go in life and the things you're passionate about and what you dream about and where you feel you can deliver impact. And so on that note, I think we'll turn the page to this topic of the divine. So you kind of got a message. I think I heard you say this about to be at the event in Cincinnati where we met. You know, for me, I did too. I really kind of reflected on it, meditated on it, prayed on it about, should I be making this trip? Should I go? It wasn't the biggest event. I've been to smaller events, but I met, it was great because I met great people, you included, and it furthered my mission. The other thing it did kind of uniquely is that my wife and I got to spend 4 amazing days together where we both said to one another, we kind of had fun again, and it's carried forward. So it was neat. It was kind of like, all right, I hear you, big guy. It wasn't just about the event. It was about the marriage. It was about getting away. It was about laughter, love, all that good stuff. So for you, what messages did you hear and receive that weekend that brought us all together?
It was very affirming because I've made some big choices this year, one of which was to leave the business I was in. And it was just very affirming because I thought for a minute, just a quick minute, like, what am I going to do after this? When you're in something for 14 years and then you make a change, it's scary. It's like a breakup of sorts. And so I was, just being there, I was like, okay, this is really cool. I could feel the energy in the room, and I knew I was around people who were stretching me. And as I, was talking to people and just kind of listening also to them on stage, I felt myself being built back up. And all of the things that had been, torn down, that I've just kind of put up scaffolding, so to speak, in my own mind. It was as if, everybody together was putting those bricks back up and building me back up. And so there wasn't particularly one overarching message, but it was more of being around people who are going somewhere and who I know, like, okay, they're applying what they know into something that is their own, that is not controlled by some other company. That just, it made a huge difference for me.
Yeah. I love that. You used the phrase, you felt you were being stretched, pushed towards something greater, I think would be a fair way to paraphrase.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so again, we're not going to necessarily go back to the MLM thing, but when you look at conference on your own at Total Boss, conference for MLM, they're both conferences. But the outcome was you felt you're in the right spot. I love that word, affirmation and affirmed. I love that word. I use it a lot, especially in like sales and sales trainings. But the point being, you've always got to be in that right room. You've got to, and that discernment is, I think, the hardest thing in life, isn't it? Is this the right place?
Yeah, that is a very hard thing because we make decisions and sometimes they're not right. But, sometimes we're given enough grace to just see it for ourselves. And other times we're ushered right out of there really quickly. But yeah, we do make decisions, and sometimes they're really great, like that conference was.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I have a fellow retailer who has leaned on us as of late to fill in some merchandise because of his own struggles. I'll leave it at that. so we have to order merchandise in for this person and then they come pick it up. And, these struggles have been present in their life and business for probably 20 years. And it reminds me of, like, there's a joke about faith and belief. I think I got it well enough. I kind of butcher every joke again. If you're a listener for a long time, I do that. But there's a joke that goes something like this. Guy's out in the middle of the ocean, his boat capsizes, and he prays to God, God, please save me, please save me. And then, another smaller kayaker comes out. He's like, hey, we'll have to figure it out, but you can jump on, hold on, we'll get back to shore. He's like, no, God's going to save me. You sure? Yeah, get out of here. God's going to save me. Okay. Then a big boat comes by. Same thing. They radio down, hey, we're here to save you. No, I'm good. God's going to save me. And then finally a helicopter comes and they're like, hey, we'll throw it on the rope. Nope, not going to climb it. God's going to save me. Well, what happens? He drowns, gets to heaven. He's like, God, what the heck happened? He's like, I sent you kayak, sent you helicopter, sent you a boat. What'd you want me to do? We got to listen, right? We got to listen and discern. Are we in the right place? Are we being given the answer? And so back to this retailer friend of mine, after this last go round, I sent him a message. I said, hey man, I've known you for 20 years. These struggles, I think you're looking at them as this, through this lens of belief that you're meant to be tormented and have a lot of grief. I think you need to start looking at these struggles as you're being told to get out of this business and go do something else, somewhere else for another purpose. Because this has been 20 years. Like this person drove from one side of the state of PA to the other on an engine that had one spark plug completely bad. Couldn't fix it, didn't have the money for it. It's like, and this just popped up, right? It's like, no, it didn't just pop up. It was yet another sign, another thing in the way to hopefully get you to look and say, hey, I'm trying to tell you something here. I'm not giving you direction. I'm trying to actually tell you something. You have anything to add like that? Any moments for you where you've kind of felt those nudges and you've either listened or you didn't, and then you listened later and you're like, oh, I should have really acknowledged that the first time?
That really encompasses the last 6 years.
Okay.
Because I'm very stubborn. One thing that I love to talk about whenever I get into really good discussions with people like this is the importance of actually knowing yourself and knowing your personality type, whether you do that through a Myers-Briggs test or whatever. But it's important to know your personality type to know how you actually metabolize things that happen to you. So I'm extremely stubborn. I knew that. My mom could tell you that. My friends can tell you that. But I found that out for real through a personality test. And I was like, well, this makes a lot of sense. And so I'm not one to just give up on something. I'm like, oh, this didn't work. Let's try this way. Let's keep trying all the ways. Let's exhaust all our options, which is obviously a good thing to have as an entrepreneur. But there were a lot of times where it felt like nothing was actually working right. And I was, like I mentioned before, doing all the work and I was doing everything that I should have done and nothing was happening. So it was, the frustration just amounted. My self-image went down as a result. But, I finally did listen this year, and it took someone else showing me some really crazy evidence about, the company that I was working with, for me to actually be like, oh, it all makes sense now. Like that was what I needed. So I believe that we're given grace, and we're met where we're at. Just something for my personal faith. I believe in God, and I believe God meets you where you're at. So if you've just been not listening for 6 years, he's still like, hey, come on. And that's what it was for me. It was a very gentle kick in the stomach. It was a very very gentle, but still like, okay, now I hear you. And it ended up being the best thing that I could have done. So it's kind of all in the same 6-year time period where I didn't listen and then I finally did. And um yeah, so but it happens, and we have to give ourselves grace. We are
Right.
given grace. If people believe in God or something else, we're still given grace,
Yeah.
and it's okay.
I wanted to focus in on that point. Like, if you've made bad decisions in business, put your business in a bad spot, your family in a bad spot, um, you don't have to go necessarily looking for grace. You can just say to yourself, hey, I led this thing down the wrong path. And because I'm saying that, because I'm going to take ownership of what happens from this moment forward, it's okay.
Mhm.
And when you really look at it, look, if your business has to close its doors, I get that. That's awful. I've seen it happen. I've been blessed through my skills that I haven't had to go through that. I've closed things down by choice, but not out of necessity. But I know it's painful, and because I've seen it, I've had friends, I've had peers, I've been witness to it. But it doesn't have to define your every being.
Right.
And if your people that you employ or lead have to go find employment elsewhere, yep, that's rough. But maybe there's something else greater for them.
Mhm.
Kind of like your story. And when you get down to it, there's not a lot a family or a person truly, really needs to exist, and when we really look at our society, all the things we're told we need or should want, they're really not needed. What we need is just make sure we love ourselves and love what we're doing.
Mhm.
So, yeah, thank you for
I
bringing
agree.
us to this point.
Oh yeah, and I wanted to add too, Jeff, I don't know one entrepreneur who hasn't gone full speed down the wrong path. So I
Wait,
it's
we do
part.
that?
No, we're always right. No, no, I believe it's part of growing as a person and as an entrepreneur to actually, go 90 miles an hour down the wrong road, and then to discover that, you ended up in the wrong state or wherever. I have a friend who
Mhm.
actually did that, so it's kind of funny. But it's part of it, and the more that we grow, as long as we actually take those lessons with us and have a little bit, as you mentioned, more discernment and use wisdom, it's it's just part of the journey. But I love the fact that not everybody is willing to be an entrepreneur because it's scary. You put yourself out there and then you fall on your face sometimes.
Yeah.
And just like I did, I put a coloring book out in October, and I love it. The concept is amazing, but I discovered some quality issues after the fact, after it was already published, just because of timing. And I was like, "Whoa, no, people saw this." And I was kind of embarrassed. And I'm just like, if I will laugh at myself in public, then it takes away the fun for other people. So I'm just going to say, "Hey, I messed up and it's okay. I
Yep.
messed up and I'm going to keep going," because most people will not keep going. They'll just, if they even get to the point where they choose to be an entrepreneur, they'll quit. But
Well, I was going to say, in your friend circle, family circle, community,
Mhm.
how many people actually have published a book? Forget the topic, just how many people have done it in the first place,
right.
and then had the, I don't know the word I'm looking for, the integrity. There it is. To say, you know what, this isn't up to my standard. I see that, so we're gonna pivot, and we're
Right.
gonna make it to my standard. I've seen, boy, this is the problem in our society, because I know Chris, my wonderful producer here at Cast Ahead, who, by the way, you're enjoying the show. It looks great. It sounds great. He does great work. So anything podcasting, check him out. But I know this is for him, with the level of service and care that he provides. It really stinks that he has to set beside, and his folks like me, we're all podcasters, but yet people can just jump on their phone in their car record something and call it a podcast. Now, I applaud that initiative, but there is podcasting, then there's what we're doing right here, to where we care. And it comes from caring, because you listening to this, you watching this, I want you to hear these stories. I want you to see the people. I want you to see their smiling face. If we don't take the steps we take, you don't get a great experience. That's where it comes from. And I think if we really boil it down, that's where, for your coloring book, which is, I want you to talk a little more about it, because it is really a unique concept. That care, it's like my quality is not there, and I care about the person getting this, and I want them to love it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
so much of our society, just to I'm sorry, I'll let you add on. You just get to go that 90 miles an hour. Hey, I got a phone, I can be an influencer. Well, yeah, I guess, but there's the whole business side of it that exists. You can be an author and put a book up on Amazon, but if you're not looking at the quality of it, you might just never get anywhere, and you wonder why. So yeah, tell us about why this coloring book, because it is very interesting.
Thank you. Yeah. So it will be re-released at some point. It's called Modern and Mid-Century Modern Dream Homes Coloring Book. Now, I've always loved, luxury real estate, not enough to pursue that as a career, but more of like, oh, wow, I can't wait to have a house like that. Since I was a little girl, I've always wanted to have a really nice house, really big house, and fill it with family. And when I was within multi-level marketing, that dream was absolutely fed. It was, have the big house, have the nice car. My dream is obviously bigger than just that. It's not about material things, but the house itself, whatever house, on any of the 50 pages of coloring pages, it's a representation of dreams do come true. Don't give up. And it's more of me saying to my, maybe like 8-year-old self, girl, go get it, because it's out there and it's for you. If it's in your heart, it's for you. And something that's in your heart doesn't just leave. It's not like, oh, I thought about that once. It's more of like, this is deep in here and it won't leave. And so that's how it's in your heart. And as I was within the multi-level marketing industry, in my opinion, it's a dream graveyard, because you're just told to focus on this one thing. And then most people do not make money in it, and most people don't get to their dreams. And so as those dreams don't happen, they can start to wither away. And I felt that happening with me, and that hurt so badly. It really hurt. It tore away at my self-esteem. It just absolutely was painful. But after I left, I was like, I need to do something. I need to prove to myself that my dreams are still there. And so this idea for a coloring book just popped into my head. So I made it happen. Now, first, go around wasn't what it's supposed to be yet, or it wasn't where it's going to be. But I had to try. I had to prove to myself, that I can finish something, because I had become used to no results as a result of what I was doing before. And then also B, that I still have a dream and I am worthy of it, because it's mine and it was given to me. And, it's absolutely mine. If I don't do it, somebody else will, and nobody can do it like me. So I have to do it. There's a whole lot behind that.
I love that. I love that you shared all of that. And so the dream doesn't stop. You've got something else coming out that you'll have in 24.
Yeah.
You care to share a little bit about that as we wrap up?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now it's slated to be released January 9th on Amazon, but it's going to be a gratitude journal and coloring book combined. So there are 60 days currently, unless any of the details change between now and then, which I don't think so, but there's 60 days worth of gratitude pages. So you write what you're grateful for and then what you're proud of from that day. And then you also have, as the background of that, a coloring page. So not only is it, relaxing and fun, but you also have the opportunity to put down whatever you're grateful for. Now it's, there have been a lot of writings on it, but gratitude is honestly the first step to happiness. And as I left the industry that I was in, I had to, instead of focusing on what went wrong, because a lot went wrong, and what I didn't like, and why am I not there yet? I'm 35. Why don't I have this yet? I had to just take with me the lessons and be grateful for what I did learn and for the experience that I have, because it forced me to be wise and to have discernment. So now I'm like, okay, if I can encourage other people to just have a space where they are putting down what they're grateful for, like, I'm proud of myself for doing this today, or I'm proud of this happening. And then also mix that with the psychology of coloring, which is just so relaxing. So that's what the book is about. And currently the release date is January 9th for that.
Fantastic. Well, wish you nothing but success on that release date. Certainly keep me posted. I'll be happy to share it out in my network.
Thank you.
And pass it along. I'm a big believer in that. I've got my own journal out there focusing. There's definitely a daily focus on gratitude as part of that. So big believer in that practice for sure. For sure. Meggan, I've really enjoyed our time together today. Thank you for trusting in that affirmation that you got, that you would be in the right place in Cincinnati when we met, because here we are now, and I can't wait to see where you go next. So thank you for being a part of the show today.
Honored to be here. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Well, if you want to connect with Meggan, we've got her Facebook in the show notes. Go there, connect with her, please. Watch her journey and know that you've got that opportunity to always move forward and let the past be behind you. Give yourself grace to do that. We'll see you next week on The Big Ticket Life. Take care.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode of The Big Ticket Life. You've heard from another amazing guest living their own big ticket life, and now it's time to live yours. First, I'd love for you to take me up on my free gift to you. Claim your gift at gift.thebigticketlife.live. That's gift.thebigticketlife.live. See, all your life you've been told what is and what isn't possible by the loudest voices from the cheapest seats. It's time to finally do life and business on your terms. Sure, you've heard similar things, but without clarity on what can be done, it's easy to have your customers, employees, maybe even partners, and your spouse keep you from truly living a big ticket life. My big ticket methods shift you into that investor seat in your business, away from commodity and away from competition, into a market of one, so you can finally live your own big ticket life. So my gift to you is for you to book your discovery call today, where we'll uncover first the Chivo behaviors, those chief everything officer behaviors that hold you back, and why moving into the investor seat in your own business is critical. 2, we'll uncover the premium position that's up for grabs right now in your market that you're missing out on. And 3, which big ticket methodologies are just waiting to be dropped into your business to explode your sales and profits. So again, thanks for listening to this episode. I'd love for you to take action right now. Accept this gift. Book your call. Go to gift.thebigticketlife.live. Again, that's gift.thebigticketlife.live.